Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, good evening, or wherever it's your subscribe, become a warrior teacher, the usual. Okay. There's an article that was written on the 1st of May by Rebecca. Rebecca says no. Rebecca. Okay, so the links are in the doobers as usual. I'm going to give you an overview of this just to get you onto it and let you have a look at the article itself. Because I think once again, I'm calling, as I always do, for a public inquiry. And that inquiry should be read by people who are of the utmostly critical end of everything critical social justice, i.e. it should be set up with the sole expression of removing critical social justice from all our institutions. This is no exception. And the headline of Rebecca's newsletter, it's worth subscribing to Rebecca, does some great work, again, another good researcher. The gender activist takeover of medicine you should have heard about in the news, but most media refuse to report. This is from the 1st of May, and it refers to stuff in 2021, but it doesn't make it any less problematic. There, I use their word. It doesn't make it any less worrying. I'm going to say that instead. Stonewall and GLADD wrote the General Medical Council's LGBT Patient Guide in 2021. GLADD is the Gay and Lesbian Association of Doctors and Dentists, I think. That's got proctology and oral covered, doesn't it? Right? In their announcement of this guide, the GMC quoted Nancy Kelly, CEO of Stonewall. Stonewall and Kelly's involvement in a guide purportedly for LGBT patients is inappropriate, to say the least. In November 2021, Nancy Kelly famously described lesbians as sexual racists if they will not date trans-identified males. It is fair to say that many LGBT people no longer believe that Stonewall, who now define homosexual as attracted to the same gender rather than sex on their website, have their sex-based rights at heart. The GMC also quoted Dr. Duncan McGregor, co-chair of GLADD. GLADD is also an organisation which has erred heavily on the side of gender identity. GLADD's position is purely ideological, Rebecca. This is a great piece, but it's purely ideological. Me being a hard bookend on this, it's purely ideological. Regarding GLADD's position on transitioning minors, Dr. McGregor wrote to the High Court on behalf of the organisation in 2021 to lobby to ensure that minors still receive puberty blockers. Is this something that GLADD thought that the UK population wanted? I do not believe that anyone voted on this matter. So where does the authority for these self-proclaimed queer medical activists' actions come from? Do they simply lobby for whatever they want and then seek to impose it on the wider NHS? Without the democratic consensus of NHS staff or population? Another point to note is that the inherent conflict of interest within GLADD's committee, as GLADD's trans rep, Dr. Katie McDowell, is also a current trustee of the charity Mermaids. It's Tavistock, isn't it? Again, it plays out every time. We need a public inquiry. Mermaids is currently under investigation by the Charity Commission for potential serious systemic failings. Dr. Katie McDowell was quoted in this article from October 22 describing biological sex as a concept. Right, so here's Dr. Katie McDowell and the ridiculous description. Katie, brackets, they, them, brackets, identifies as queer, trans and non-binary and is currently training in paediatrics in London. Fire them! Dear God, what are you doing? Prior to this, they had a successful 10-year career in policy, public affairs and campaigning, working with a range of charities and other organisations, including Young People's Cancer Charity, CLIC Sargent. They are also a trustee for trans youth charity Mermaids and are passionate about ensuring that trans young people have access to the support and advice they need to be their authentic selves. Their authentic selves. It's time. Stop, okay? They're also interested in improving the medical school curriculum to better represent the needs of trans and non-binary patients. There is nothing trans and non-binary patients need that nobody else doesn't. Nothing. Not unless you've mutilated your body. As a neurodivergent person, no, they're neurodivergent as well. Is there any victimhood this person won't take on board? They are particularly interested in the interface between neurodiversity and LGBTQ plus hands, knees and mum's daisy issues. Right? That's Katie McDowell. Both Stonewall and GLADD have shown that they are against sex-based rights, as well as pro-affirmation only regarding so-called gender non-conforming people. This puts sex-based rights and vulnerable people at risk in the NHS. They're homophobes. Why didn't anybody see this? They're homophobes. It's that simple. And means that it is a huge problem with these organisations that they wrote this GMC's late LGBT patient guide and that they appear to have such influence on the General Medical Council. The fact that the General Medical Council still signposts patients to Stonewall is deeply concerning. Meanwhile, GLADD sits on the GMC Strategic EDI Forum and appears, in these minutes from September 21, to have influence on the GMC statement on an all-inclusive conversion therapy ban, which was released a few months later in December 2021. These people must be got rid of. What is the problem here? Get them gone. What the hell are the GMC doing in bed with these totalitarian fuckwits? What are they doing in bed with them? It is also worth noting that two of the authors of GLADD's Medical Schools Charter also sit on the ID committee of the overall Medical Schools Council. And guess what? It's let's stick me fingers in my hand because somebody said I don't like Joseph bloody Hartland. And another one called Bridget McWade. GLADD's pushing of unquestionable gender identity into the NHS via their pro-affirmation only Medical Schools Charter on so-called conversion therapy is something that's been covered previously by Rebecca, and you can see there's a link to it. It's a great article. Rebecca writes great stuff. Please do go and subscribe. I put the details into the dooberies downstairs, right? But when are we going to do this? When are we going to have a reckoning? When are we going to get together a group of 10 or 12 public people who are extremely critical of social justice? We've already got great groups of working in the field. Look at Don't Divide Us Now. Look at Sex Matters. Look at all this, right? But we need to eradicate this from the public sphere. And how you do that is you have a massive public education programme. Sunak needs to get on. I'll write the lesson plan, Rishi, right? And you get on YouTube and you sit down and you say, here's the truth about critical social justice. Right? DeSantis has just banned it. The wording of the document is very clear. Go and have a look. We can word a same document. We can get it out of the public institutions. Let corporates do what they want. They're going to do what they want anyway, right? Get it out of the public institutions. There are organisations now trying to get this into small and medium businesses. They will not stop until they have brought the engine that got us here to a grinding halt in search of their utopia. They are mad utopians, right? Hyper-individualism, hyper-leftism meets far-right corporatism. That's what they are. The beast. Right? Great big blob. That's what they are. And we have to stop them. And I don't see anyone right now in power or out of power who's going to do it. And the country's going to vote Labour. That's what they're going to do. They're going to vote Labour because Rishi can't get his act together and tell these people from the WF to bugger off and start building a Britain that is fit for purpose. And to do that, we need low taxation, small government. Yeah, small government. We need the massively bloated public sector to be ripped to the bone, and people need to start going to work. Go and do something, make something of yourself. That's what we need. It's time for growth and development, and what can we do, and what can we achieve, and what can we explore? It's not time to sit around gazing at our navel in some kind of weird managed decline. These are conservatives, for Christ's sake. What the bloody hell is wrong with them? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You're going to get one or t'other. Labour's going to wreck this country. It will wreck it completely. But it won't necessarily wreck it economically, because at the moment I don't think we're in charge economically. But it will wreck it because it believes this crap. It believes in critical social justice. It believes in gender identity ideology. It believes in critical race theory. It believes in affinity groups. It believes in highlighting people's, level on the intersectional ladder of nonsense. It believes in saying, oh, these are black people and these are white people. It wants to tick a box and put you in the box. It will use identity politics to bring this country to its knees. And Keir Starmer at this point is a bloody stooge. Come on, peapods. Wake up and smell the coffee. It's cultural, not political. Let's keep going, right? But this GLADD business, the GMC, do you know they're up the road? I might pop in and see them. Do you think I should pop in and see the GMC? Let me know in the dooberies. I'll see you later.